Hi guys, new to homeschooling in 2020 because you don't like the regulations. From a veteran mom, homeschool mom on her 8th year of homeschooling, I'm about to share some tips for you on how to begin with homeschooling. Some very beginner tips on what you need for homeschooling, how to look up how to get your kids socialized. I know that's a big concern for homeschoolers, and also just the nitty-gritty on a crash course on homeschooling. So welcome to Jewel for Real. Right now it's called Jewel for Real, but this is my first video back in 3 years. The channel name is going to be switched to Highway to Momsville. So not to be confused, same channel, same person, just changing from Jewel for Real to Highway to Momsville. Just don't want any confusion, but here goes. Here's the crash course on homeschool. I started homeschooling 8 years ago, and my daughter, Talia, who's 14, went to school for 2 years until I pulled her to homeschool her. A lot of people recently have asked me lots of questions on homeschooling. I have gotten at least a dozen people, I would say like a dozen people that reached out to me and asked me all these different, I compiled the questions to this sheet, and I'm about to answer all these questions for you that you guys probably have the same questions as these people that are reaching out to me. And as a homeschool mom of 5, I don't have time to reach out to each person when there's that many people asking me questions. Every day it's like 2 more people. So I know a lot more people, as they have these masks mandatory, will have more and more questions on homeschooling. So here goes. First off, what you want to do is contact your school district, who you've been going to school for before, and just find out what you need. I will show you what we need for Pennsylvania. I don't know in your state what you need, but I do know that Pennsylvania is the strictest, one of the strictest besides like New York, and there's a couple other ones. So if you can see what it's like for Pennsylvania, which actually, even though it's considered one of the strictest, it's really not that bad. The paperwork is not too hard. So if you can see what it's like for Pennsylvania, you can handle it in any state, because pretty much all other states besides New York and a few others are easier to to homeschool your children than Pennsylvania. So, but Pennsylvania, when I go to start my year off, what I'll do is I will go online, and I won't even type out. What they need is an affidavit, and an affidavit looks like this. So I print it out. I don't even go to the school district to get the affidavit. I will just print it out, because you can type in affidavit, free printable, and find something like this, and I will just print it out on my printer, and I have to go to a notary and get it notarized and signed right in front of somebody. And that's the only thing you need. Here, I'll show it up close. So it looks like this. It has just supervisor's name, that's your name, and address of your home education program, that's your address. Phone number of the home education program, that's your phone number. I don't know if you can see that too well. And student's name, the student you are going to be homeschooling. If you're homeschooling several kids, you want to print this out several times, you're going to need an affidavit like this for each kid that's notarized. You can't do it just for every kid you do. And then here's the age of your child, and you just sign here at the bottom while you're getting notarized, and here's the notarization area for the place you're getting notarized. So that's one of the pages you'll need to homeschool your child. Super easy. And the only other thing Pennsylvania requires is that you have an educational objective form. Your objectives for what you are going to accomplish during your homeschool year. And it can be very generic. The first 2 years, I personalized it because I thought I had to. I went through all the work typing it myself, and I found out you don't need that. Don't even bother. Just type in, again, educational objectives for homeschooling, free printable. I got mine on askpauline.com. I'm sure you can get it other places. Ask Pauline is a Pennsylvania website, but I'm sure if another state requires it, you can just use it. You can use it for another state if they require objectives. So I'll have the link below for Ask Pauline, but here's educational objectives. I just printed it out from somebody else who created it online, and you just put your student's name, their academic year, and here's as generic as they come, because you don't really want a very personalized one. One, it takes time to do it. 2, it's not needed, so why bother taking the time? 3, you don't want all these very detailed things that you're going to accomplish during the year, because let me tell you, homeschooling for the year never turns out exactly how you think it's going to, and then they could maybe potentially come back at you and say, hey, you never did that with your kid. So they never did that for me over the 8 years, but I'm just saying, so just keep it very generalized. So for here's like English to include exposure to literature. This is for an older child. I typed in for secondary education for my daughter Talia, who is entering 9th grade. English to include exposure to literature, experience with composition, continued vocabulary. Like, so they just list different things. I will have an example I'll try to have an example below, is what I'm saying. So this is just a free printable online. And all I do is have the kid's name and the academic year. And that's what I turn in. I don't create it myself. So it's nice. They have all these like free printables online that you don't need to go through all that work yourself. So affidavit, like I showed, super easy. Objectives, super easy. You print them out, you go to your school district, you turn it in. You're now homeschooling. That's it. And that's for one of the strictest states. So your state might even require less. The only other thing that they might ask for, the first year, I had to turn in my high school diploma to prove that I graduated high school. At least you or your husband has to prove that you have finished high school to be able to homeschool, at least for Pennsylvania. And the only other thing is I filled out initially my very first year homeschooling 8 years ago, medical records. But they haven't asked me since then. I haven't turned in any medical records since then. And so I don't even know if I could have gotten away with it the first year without turning it in. I probably could have, but I turned it in anyway. Keep that as generic as possible because I just think, at least for me, maybe if you're more comfortable turning in all the medical records, you can. I just rather have them, I keep up with my kids medically, but I rather just have them not know everything there is to know about my child. You might actually be able to get away with no medical records, but just find out. After the first year, I didn't have to. So just to show you an objectives for little kids, I typed in for elementary for the younger years, and this is just a little more simple. It just says utilize library for English, read a wide variety of books, continue to improve spelling and grammar and reading skills. So just like it's a little more basic for the younger years, but both are generic, both for the older kid and the younger kid. So that's all you have to turn in to start homeschooling for your school district. And now you're homeschooling. There is some affidavit deadlines for Pennsylvania. For people that have always homeschooled, they have to turn it in by July 1st. For people that are new to homeschooling, that doesn't apply to you. You have up until the day school starts to be able to do that. And even past that. If you decide you want to homeschool after they get started and realize masks aren't for your child, they're having difficulties, then pull them and, start the process. You can always put them back in school anytime too. So why not try homeschooling? Why not see if it's for you? You might be surprised. So that's the deadline. So usually at the end of the school year, you have to turn in a portfolio, at least for Pennsylvania, and you have to pick an evaluator. The evaluator is evaluator of your choice. You can ask around, you can do your research, just type in homeschool evaluator, and you'll find plenty of them. You can pick from them and see which one suits you. And you basically just pick an evaluator, and then you're going to schedule to meet with them during the year. At the end of the year, before you have to turn in everything, you have to turn in everything. Well, you have to meet with an evaluator and turn in a piece of paper to the school district by June 30th, I think it is. So by the end of June. So here's the portfolio. Here's what kind of it looks like for Pennsylvania. You just turn in this. It doesn't even have to look this elaborate. I kind of went a little more elaborate. There's some people that even keep it more simple. I have a picture of my daughter. Here's first day of 5th grade. This was a couple years ago. So what you want to do is just turn in a portfolio like this. What you need is about 9 pages. I would say 3 for the beginning of the year, 3 for the middle of the year, 3 for the end of the year. All they want to see is growth. They don't want to see like all the work you do during the year, because that's overwhelming to an evaluator. They just want to see that you're teaching them, you're growing them, and that's pretty simple to show that you're growing them. So what you want when you first open the book, I just like in this section, I just include, like the approval letters from the school district, just in case. I have Talia's reading list, which can include school books, like subject books. It can include the Bible. It can include Awana, like if your kids do Awana. It can include, doesn't have to be just like a reader book. It can be anything that you include on this list. So I just have book and author. Here you'll find they want to have a calendar for academic year. So this is to check off that you did 180 days. At least for Pennsylvania, you have to show that you did 180 days of school. And it doesn't have to be detailed. The first few years, I sat down and I wrote down like what we accomplished each day and each day. That was ridiculous. All they need to see is attendance calendar for academic year. I write the year here. And then here's just 180 boxes. And I check it off each day. Check, 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 check. I did 180 days of school. And I know I did 180 days of school. I'm not fibbing about that. I definitely did 180 days of school. So you can keep it as simple as like that. They have free printables online for that, for your portfolio at the end of the year. So you just want to have a binder like this. And I just slide them into the plastic sleeves. That every year they want to see fire safety that you go over with your child. I just printed out a free printable online for fire safety and had them answer questions. You can have them watch a video, write down the video that they watched. You can have a map. Like I'll have a map most years of our house, which I won't show in here, but a map of our house where I show the exit strategies and I go over that map each year. And each year I just print out the map of our house as long as we didn't move and just include it in the portfolio. Here is testing. That year she had to do testing because in Pennsylvania you have to do testing for 3rd, 5th, and then so the grades you have to do it in is 3rd, 5th, and 8th grade. You have to prove that you did testing on your child. Testing is super simple. Just type in CAT testing and you can do it online and choose the untimed because the kids don't need to be timed. And that's just too stressful. So CAT testing, untimed. Make sure, because there's a timed version, untimed. My kids do the CAT testing. And so for 5th, she was in 5th grade this year, so she needed to show it. But it's not every year they need testing. They can get it done in 3rd, 5th, and 8th grade. So here's math. And I just said she continued with teaching textbooks because that's what we were doing that year. We aren't doing teaching textbooks now, but I'll go over that in another video. This is just a crash course for beginners. And so I just tear out some of her workbooks she had that year. And I show a couple pages from the very beginning of the year, a couple from the middle, a couple from the end. And so on. And then if I go to, here's spelling, English, like it shows, I'll show this more in detail in another video of the portfolio, but just in English, I just want to, show people who are just starting homeschooling what what the year might look like at a glance. So English, here's some English, a couple in the beginning, a couple in the middle, a couple at the end. Then you'll go on to science, and then I go on to history. There's some history pages. So, and Bible, I don't have to include Bible, but I like to. So there was like an Awana certificate, art, and music. I include some artwork she's worked on. That was back in 5th grade. So anyway, that's what a portfolio looks like. It's actually not as hard as people think. It's pretty easy. So that's what you will have to do at the end of the year with your evaluator. And then after you show that to your evaluator and prove that you worked on school through the year with your child, then your evaluator will give you one piece of paper signed saying that you accomplished the year, and you turn in that one paper to the school district. So it really isn't as hard as people think it is. So the only other thing I want to add about starting homeschooling, if your child is under 6, at least for Pennsylvania, And like I said, Pennsylvania is one of the most strict. So, but they used to have it that if you didn't have to turn in anything to the school district until they were 8 years old. So, but now they changed it to 6 just this year. So if your child is over the age of 6, you have to you have to turn in things to the school district and, turn in all those papers, the affidavit, the objectives that I just showed you. If your child's under 6 and never went to kindergarten and got into the school system, you do not have to turn in anything. You do not have to turn in anything until they are 6 years old. So that is something to keep in mind. So how to get acclimated into socializing for homeschooling. Yes, you do socialize in homeschool. I know the big thing is, but my child won't be socialized. Yes, they will be socialized, and I'm going to bust that myth. So my children are involved in church. They go to church on Sundays. They go to Awana and youth group on Wednesday nights. They go to a Homeschool Co-op. Last year we were involved in 2. This year we're just going to do 1 because we felt like 2 was maybe too much. So we, in the phase of life that we're in anyway. So there's a bunch of Homeschool Co-ops. I think everywhere probably in the United States. You just have to look. There's Classical Conversations. I never got involved in that one, but that's a nationwide co-op that you can look into. There's just co-ops that are just started by moms. And what you also want to look at is definitely utilize Facebook or social media. Just make an announcement that you're homeschooling, and you'll find different other people that homeschool by making an announcement. The other thing is, in something like Facebook, you want to do a search, homeschooling in my area, and I'm sure that there will be some things that come up. When I searched homeschooling in my area, there was some Facebook pages that came up. I found out some secret ones by other people that I did not know when I started homeschooling. And in them, they plan all kinds of field trips, and they plan co-ops to meet each week. And some of the co-ops might be full by this time of year, but you'll find ones that just plan field trips during the year or plan play dates or park dates. And your child will be plenty socialized. They can still get together with friends they already have. They can still participate in sports from the school district even while they homeschool. They still can, do anything they're talented or skilled at. You can just sign them up for, say if their talent is art classes, sign them up for some art classes, sewing, painting, and they'll make friends there. They'll socialize there. And you can have play dates at your house a lot. There's just so many avenues that your child can feel busy and they can feel socialized. My children have never said, hey, I never get together with friends, I'm bored. I mean, they might say they're bored for a second, but they're not, they don't feel like deprived. So definitely utilize your social media and search the phrases for your area. Try to join some local groups in your area for homeschooling. And besides that, utilize YouTube. YouTube is a great resource for homeschooling. You can look up things like Khan Academy. You can look up things like Art Hub for kids. Any questions you have on homeschooling, like now for me, there's this, when you found me, there's plenty of stuff out there for you to find, plenty of stuff out there for the kids to find. There's science channels. So just utilize that. Utilize the area you live in and go on field trips, explore, make memories. You won't regret it because life is short and the kids grow up fast. And so use this as a time to have more connection as a family and get together and make excellent memories, get together with other family or friends and utilize that. Like, one great advantage for homeschooling is that you can do wherever you want. You can literally pick up your homeschool and go. One advantage I have from homeschooling is I will just go and I will go on a field trip or a day trip when it's the least full, I should say. The least full. Sometimes there'll be discounts for homeschoolers. Look into that. Like Camden Aquarium that's in New Jersey. We live in Pennsylvania, but in New Jersey, they have homeschool weeks. So where you can get in for like half the price. So they have that for a lot of things. Great Wolf Lodge has homeschool weeks. So you just look into different homeschool weeks and take advantage of it. That's one advantage for homeschooling. The other thing you can utilize is teachers pay teachers. I know that it kind of like you don't think of it because you're thinking, I'm just a homeschool mom. But homeschool moms are teachers. So they can utilize the teachers pay teachers website. So that's another good thing to look into. Pinterest, obviously. Pinterest has a lot of great ideas for homeschoolers. You can also utilize Netflix. Netflix has some great documentaries and different things that you can pull up for the kids. They have Magic School Bus for younger kids. So just utilize that Liberty Kids CD on Amazon is great for little kids for homeschooling. So just, you just want to utilize your library. There's just a lot of things you can, utilize. I know it's overwhelming at first for homeschool, but you will settle into something in a routine. It might seem stressful right now, but the kids have to get used to you as a teacher. You have to get used to being the teacher to them. But after a couple months, it will level out and you guys will all get used to it and it will be amazing. You just have to give it time. The other advantage for homeschooling, I just wanted to point out, is somebody asked that reached out to me, how long does it take to homeschool your kids? And how long do you have to spend homeschooling your kids? I'm not going to get into it in great detail in this video because, like I said, this is a crash course on beginning homeschooling. But what I would say is homeschooling takes a child approximately 3 to 4 hours. If they really sit down and get into the nitty gritty for homeschool and don't take tons of breaks, they can get it accomplished in 3 to 4 hours. Or they can just do 2 blocks of time, but it does not take all day, like from 8 to 3, like you would if you're at a normal brick and mortar school. So, and for homeschooling, for me, like somebody asked, how long does it take me to homeschool? Well, I guess it depends on what ages you're homeschooling, is what I would say. If your child is over the age of if they're over the grade of 4th grade, not much. They do most things independently. It's whatever you choose to do with them. They could do a bunch of independent work themselves. If they can read and they can write fluently, then they can do it all independently. So it's whatever you choose that you want to make memories with your family. Like if you want to sit down and do a science together because science experiments seem fun to you, or if history is really appealing to you, you didn't really like it in high school, but now, like me, you're finding it fascinating as you're now as a mom, so you can join the history lessons with them. So in the older years, I would say it can be however much you want to be involved. Now, you still have to look over their work and make sure they're doing it. You still have to point out things that they might be doing wrong, but it's really not that bad for children above 4th grade. I will say, however, children under 4th grade, like kindergarten through 3rd grade, do require more of your time and attention. It's just a phase of life that you have to get through because they can't read, they can't write. They have to learn that stuff from you. So it will require more time and attention. Like Brody is my one that he's in 2nd grade. I have to sit down with him and I have to teach him. And I will go over the curriculum choices that I chose for my family. I know there's tons of curriculum choices out there. You could get so overwhelmed by looking at all the choices. Honestly, what you're best doing is asking a friend what they do and maybe try that at first to see how that works out for you while you research other things throughout the year and decide next year if it's working for you to continue with it, or if it's not, just to have that whole year to research and look into things. It can get overwhelming. I'm not gonna lie, I still sometimes get overwhelmed with it, but you just kind of gotta at some point pick something and run with it. And I will go over what after 8 years, what I found I just for my kids. Some things I'm still trying, I'm still learning what works and what doesn't, especially in the high school years because my daughter is in 9th grade. She's she's just entering those high school years, so I don't even necessarily have exact curriculum picked. So, but in the younger years, I have curriculum that I like, and I will show you that in another video, probably the next video. Children that you have to sit there and read and write, it's still not very long that you have to sit there because their attention spans are not that great. Let's just say that. So you want to catch them when they're the most aware, like probably after a good night's sleep, when they just had their bellies full with breakfast, and just sit down with them to teach them how to read and write and stuff, probably for, the longest they can probably honestly last is like an hour or two. So if you can designate an hour or two, I mean, you probably, honestly, if your kids go to school, do that already for homework at night. Your kids, when you go to or homeschool, don't have homework. So you can just use that time instead of for homework to sit down and teach them how to read and write. And then besides that, just give them educational, let them play. They learn by playing. Give them educational things to do, like watching a video online, running, and like catching frogs, like, just anything, like sit down and read them books, just, make it fun. The one other advantage for homeschooling is that you can cater it to their abilities. So if they're if they're really into like animals, give them an animal science. If they're really into, my daughter's really into gardening, give them an agricultural science, like learning about how to, gardening and how to take care of outside things. Like, so you can just cater, like, that's just an example for science, but like in other categories too, just cater it to what interests them is what I'm saying. That's the beauty of homeschooling. When you go to school, you get what you get. But when you have them at home, you can base it on their personalities, their interests, and just keep that in consideration when you're choosing curriculum for your child for the upcoming year as you learn them about your child more and more each year. The other advantage of homeschooling is that, hey, for this year, because of what's happening with, the world and the coronavirus and the quarantine, and so I met with a friend and we're deciding, hey, you know what, let's do an agricultural science together. Let's learn how to garden and make laundry detergent, and that's kind of like a science experiment. Let's do practical things, teaching them how to do practical things that will benefit them as they are an adult in everyday life. So I just think, and the other thing for my high schooler, we're taking a break from regular math. I was going to give her Algebra 1 next year for 9th grade, but I'm taking a step back. I'm still going to have her continue doing general math so she doesn't lose what she knows. But in the meantime, I'm actually taking a break from going into Algebra 1. I'm going to do it in 10th grade instead of 9th grade, and I'm going to give her personal finance. So that way she learns, because of the way the world, like I said, is going, she can learn like how to budget. I feel like that's more important right now, especially as she's, 14, soon she's going to be getting her first job in another year or two. So she can learn how to manage her money better. And so I'm just deciding to do stuff like that this year with them. And that's the beauty of homeschooling. Like I said, you can pick and choose each year what you decide to do. Like I said, I thought that was a good decision this year to do. They don't have to get a certain science. You can choose what science they learn. To graduate, you don't need a certain science. And the last thing I want to show you for a crash course for homeschooling, I'm sure I'll get a lot more questions. Leave it in the comment section below, and I will try to answer it. But here's what I have. I have this box. I've tried many things through the years, many things, on staying organized with kids, and many things that I saw on YouTube. It did not work. It just didn't. I'm just going to say. So this has worked the best for us the last couple years. I'm sticking with this. I got one of these boxes. So hopefully you can see this pretty well. Yeah, I got one of these boxes. In it, it's nice. You open it up. They got these pencils. They got erasers. They got a clip. You can put whatever you want in that top part. They have their names on the side so I don't get it confused for each kid. So I know which kid's bin it is. Inside it, they have different curriculum in here, and I'll do another video where it shows this system in detail, because there's other things I do within here to keep it organized. But you'll just see, like, here's his geography book, spelling book, and I'm starting to get filled for next year already with books I want to do, and his devotional is in here. So I just, we keep it organized to keep from losing the school books, because let me tell you, if you don't have something like this, even if you do have something like this, it still can happen. But it can happen way more if you don't have something like this. You need something like this so they don't lose their books everywhere in the house. Oh no, I can't do my spelling. I don't know where my spelling is. And it could take you a week to find it. It's happened. So, and it's frustrating as a mom. So this comes in handy. If you don't want to do something like this, another thing my older daughter does, because she thinks it's cooler as a teenager, she has a 31 bag and she keeps her stuff in there. But this comes in such good handy. And on the other side, I have the subjects that I laminated and he checks off as he gets it done. And so, hey, now you've earned more time. You know, it says, now you earn free time. So he's gotten done his stuff. So I'll show that in more detail in another video. That comes in handy. I just wanted to show you that. You might want to go out and buy one of those things as you're starting to school to fill your curriculum in there. So that's it, my crash course for homeschooling. I hope I answered some questions for you. I hope it was helpful. I plan on coming out with a bunch of other homeschool videos over the next coming weeks and months. So subscribe to my channel below. Make sure you hit the bell so you get notifications as I come out with new videos for Highway to Momsville. That is going to be called now. I have 5 kids. I've homeschooled 8 years. I've got some knowledge. I'm still learning, but as I go. But I've got some knowledge to share with you beginners. And I hope you join me for the ride. Future videos to come. Let me just list you some on here that I have that I'm going to come out with as ideas. So if it interests you. Cyber versus regular homeschool. Issuing a diploma for your high schoolers. Why public school didn't do me any favors that I felt like. I felt like they haven't done me. I'm just going to go over that. I'm sure there is some good public school, stuff, but I just want to tell you my experience. Talents and interests that you pull into the children's school. My new command center wall that keeps me organized. And my clipboard wall for my children. I have a clipboard wall that tells kids what they have to accomplish and check off. It's come in such good handy. So that I can show that in another video. How to homeschool middle schoolers, how to homeschool high schoolers, how to homeschool elementary, how to homeschool preschool, all will be separate videos so they don't get super long like this video has. Just a bunch of other videos. Day in the life of homeschooling, how it looks as I'm living out homeschooling. Homeschool room tour, as you can see behind me. I have like a whole homeschool room. A lot of times we still do homeschool at the kitchen table upstairs. But we do have a whole homeschool room, which I can show in another video. My homeschool bins, to show how we stay organized with homeschool bins and the clipboard system. Homeschool testing, what that looks like. I can show you as my children are doing the testing online, what that looks like with the CAT testing. I can show you my upcoming curriculum choice for next year. So I'm just giving you a showcase of what I'm going to be creating over the next couple months. If you have any videos you specifically want to see or questions that you specifically have, put them below and I'll try to incorporate it into one of those videos or have its own video for it. So definitely let me know. I want to hear from you guys because I'm basically putting out these videos for you guys. So definitely let me know and hopefully it was helpful. Like I said, I decided to get back into homeschooling videos and do this because I've had so many people ask me that are starting to homeschool this year to ask me what I did and what I'm doing and all these questions that I can't keep up with. I mean, I love getting back to people. I love helping people, but it is becoming overwhelming. So this is for those people. It's for you guys. Hopefully it's helpful. Pass it along to others and hopefully it's helpful to them. Anyway, guys, hopefully it was useful and take care. Next video will be coming shortly on homeschooling. Okay, guys, take care. Bye. Yes, they're all mine. See? There you go. My daughter got it for me for Christmas because I joked that everybody always asks me when I'm out with my 5 kids. They ask me yeah, are these all yours? No, I just decided to take 5 kids, random strangers shopping. Yes, they're all mine. So I just joked about that and she actually got me this shirt for Christmas. So there you go. Yes, they're all mine. Bye. See you in another video.